changed. So I said to Carolyn, I said, oh, thank you for changing the light bulb. Wasn't me.
And then can you give those to Jeff to sign?
I did.
Thank you, sir.
So we,
And I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
second.
All right, all in favor, and this is a roll call vote because it's executive session. Chris?
Yes?
Jeff?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Okay.
We shall- I have kind of a hybrid script,
Screen.
thanks
Like
to
I'm watching
Megan. So we're gonna give that a try. But actually, the first thing I'm gonna do is, for the first time in over a year, we're going to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. So I will read, we have a remote meeting script acknowledging our hybrid meeting tonight. So I will start off by saying that I would appreciate I do appreciate everyone's patience. This is something brand new to all of us, and we're looking forward to the fact that we can offer both in-person and a hybrid model for this, and I'm looking forward to this. As a preliminary matter, this is Justine St. John, Chair of the Select Board. Permit me to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me, and all of our members you can see are here, so I'm not going to, and I see obviously Greg and Becky and Megan. So, good evening. This open meeting of the Select Board is being conducted in person at Maynard Town Hall, the Michael G. Notice Room. Some speakers on the agenda will be participating remotely, and we will allow for public to provide comment via Zoom. However, we do have a public hearing, and there is no public comment via Zoom for the public hearing by law. Other than that, we will allow public comment via Zoom. The agenda posted on the town's website identifies how the public may join, and please note that this meeting is being recorded and some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you say broadcast may be captured by the recording. All the materials for this evening, except any executive session materials, are available on Board Docs, and recommend the members and public follow along the agenda as posted on Board Docs unless I note otherwise. The best way to find that is go to the town website, to the Select Board page, to tonight's agenda to packet. We're now turning to some ground rules, to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, we'll go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, if you're participating via Zoom, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking, and please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comments, after the members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Public comment for public hearings will only be accepted in person per the open meeting law. So that being said, I'm going to turn the next item on the agenda is for public comments. Are there any public comments tonight?
Yes, I have a comment.
Okay, can you identify yourself, please?
Yes, this is Betsy Gardstein, 33 Concord Street. I just wanted to express my strong support for Shanika Warren's letter. I know that that's going to be discussed at correspondence, but I just wanted to make the public comment that I am really abhorred by the poor conditions of the housing on Railroad Street. I've known about it for quite some time, and especially after reading Shanika's letter, something has got to be done about it, and that's really all I wanted to say, just to express my support for her and all the residents of Railroad Street, and I hope that the town can really finally do something about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right. Then we'll move on to the acceptance of minutes. I will entertain a motion for June 1st.
Sure. Move to accept and approve the meeting minutes of June 1st, 2021 as shown.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Armin. Any comments about this? About these? All right. All in favor? You can just raise your hand. All right.
Broken.
This
Been
is
so
such a
long.
novel idea. All right. I will accept a motion for the June 8th minutes.
I'll move to accept and approve the meeting minutes of June 8th, 2021 as shown.
Second.
All right. And does anyone have any comments or questions about that one? All right. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right. Correspondences. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to accept and approve correspondences A through D as shown.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. All right. Do we have any comments regarding?
I wanted to ask about the letter that Betsy had just referenced in public comment. Have we communicated to the residents or the Human Relations Committee what the current status of those proceedings are?
I'm gonna look to Megan.
Sure. This is the correspondence. I'm sorry, I had to step out during that, but this is from Ms. Warren regarding 18 Railroad.
Yes.
So have we shared an update with the Human Relations Committee?
Since the filing of the litigation became public.
No,
I have as a liaison to the Human Relations Committee.
Okay.
We've discussed it. I've actually discussed it with
Just went under.
Shanika herself, and we actually, did a walk around of some of the residents, trying to get some information out to them about a meeting that we had in which we discussed the issue. But it has been discussed at Human Relations Committee meetings.
Recording in progress.
And to the extent that we all we know is it's been filed, it's in the legal process. There's no answers other than that.
I was actually going to say, is there another update other than that it's in the legal
I
process?
did receive a recent update from town council, and in responding to Ms. Warren's letter, I have a draft going, but I asked Council Castro what is exactly can be shared publicly with the resident, with this board outside of an executive session, with the Board of Health outside an executive session. So I haven't heard back yet, but as soon as I do, I will draft a letter, with the information. And I also have shared the letter with the Board of Health. I believe it was addressed to the Board of Health as well. And so our health agent, Kelly Politronic, has received it and is treating it as just a general complaint, and is reaching out to the resident to schedule an inspection to go over the additional items. And then the next steps there would be to document it on her side and create an additional order letter, requiring the property owner to make the appropriate upgrades and fixes.
We have a meeting next Monday. It's got changed from this Monday to next Monday. So we have another meeting next week. If anything comes in before then, if you send it to me, I'll share it.
Okay. Sure. As soon as I find out what I can share, I'll be happy to do that, to everyone, and especially Human Relations.
Yeah, I do think that we're helping by having that litigation move forward, and the Board of Health is helping, and even before we get the response back from legal, and as of several months ago, we I think, missed an opportunity to say, once it became public, to share at least the public steps that we have taken, proactive steps, not just to the Human Relations Committee, but to the general public. And, you know, once that became public, I think we should have been able to craft a message that doesn't go beyond what was already public knowledge, but still says that, yes, we are paying attention to this very serious issue and that we are taking proactive steps to address it. And even though that those steps are going to take longer than a lot of people are going to be comfortable with, we are putting that process into motion, and we are willing to put those processes into motion. So all of that can be said without divulging anything that needs to be kept to executive session. So I would encourage us to use our communication tools to put that message out and to let people know that we are trying to help when we see these situations.
So are we thinking like a press release, or like, because
I
we've
don't
talked
think-
about it at the Board of Health, I guess, but I'd just like some direction on how to,
On the Facebook page, just to put it out there on a more, or
Wait.
maybe in the, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
So this is, I know there's been hesitancy with the rest of this board and with staff and with the Board of Health about putting that out, but I think we're taking positive action, and when we're helping people and people don't know that we are there helping, there's a gap that needs to be fixed. Now, not everything we do is, completely understood by the residents, but I think the gap is big enough, as we see from this letter this time, that we need to think about, as we move forward in this process, how we make that known to the public.
I don't know, I'd prefer not to see it in Facebook, but.
I think the one thing
I just
that's,
think that maybe to Megan's point, a press release or something in the Beacon or something that just says, here's what's going on and here's what we've done, here's what we're doing. You can tell Facebook that the sun's out when people argue about it. I'd rather not get into arguments. I'd rather not get into us as a town and as a board posting something about something that we know we've done and put it out there and then have people fight over whether or not we've done enough and what we're doing. I just don't, it's not constructive. It's just, it devolves into a shouting match online, and it's not worthy.
well, speaking of press releases, would that be something that you think Guilfoyle could help us with? Could they possibly help us?
Who's that?
Guilfoyle.
Guilfoyle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, would it be something that, maybe reach out to them to see if they've had any examples of something? My only,
They just like to have boundaries, so we would say like. this is
right,
what-
exactly,
this
this
is
what we're trying to,
sharing.
what
And
we're
we
trying
would
to
just stick the
accomplish. I
facts.
mean, basically, I hear, I obviously see the merit in what Jeff's saying. My one, my concern is to, and I think it's just the way it was said, Jeff, and it's totally not you, but like, just to put it on Facebook that the town is suing a
Fair.
property owner.
That's
Like,
fair, but the problem
so-
remains then, so what's the solution?
Right, so that's why I'm wondering if we can come up with some kind of a press release from that kind of a standpoint, maybe that might be the way.
Could we have a public meeting that is made clear that we will give an update on what the town has done relative to filing a response and what our next steps are? It would be very brief, because there's very little information that we can share or do, but notify the residents that are affected in that strip of houses, and if they show up, they show up. If they don't, we've expressed our, rather than, a public release of a news article per se, which is unusual for a legal action to have that type of communication. But just to say, hey, for the folks who live in that area, if you're interested, we can give you a brief update on where things stand so that they know we have their back. I think, which is what Jeff is trying to get at, that.
I'm not proposing a solution, I'm just saying there's a problem
right.
that there's, if you've been watching this process, unless you're going to a lot of meetings or reading kind of the second level down, which not a lot of people have time for, it was super easy to miss that this was done, and yet it is a very important step to addressing the problem.
So I think some of my confusion, and maybe I'm speaking for Megan and maybe out of hand, but was that was our intentions. That public meeting and that notification was through the Board of Health. So like that was what my expectation was, is that we would make it known that Board of Health is gonna be, because it is really a Board of Health action that we're enforcing and litigating. So it's through the Board of Health, this is when it's gonna be talked about, or whatever could be talked about publicly, as well as HRC's partnership in that, like, just.
So it could actually be done at a Board of Health meeting.
And maybe raise the profile of, like,
Yeah.
this will be discussed so
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yeah.
it's not a
And-
mystery and, you know.
Right.
Perhaps even send a notice to the residents along the stretch of road that are
Just that it's an
affected.
update.
Right.
Yeah.
There will be an update discussed at the Board of Health meeting on such and such a date at such and such a time. Hopefully, it's a convenient time for most and not, I don't know when the Board of Health meets. If they meet at 2:30 in the afternoon, that's not helpful. But if they meet at 7 o'clock at night,
6:30,
it
yeah.
might be more helpful to more folks who are affected.
Right. We understand. So, yeah, we'll talk about how to do that, but I think the Board of Health that's my.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Anyone else have anything else? About any of the correspondences? I was actually very impressed with Maynard, reading the AA3 rating as well.
Good.
It was very nice to hear nice things about us. So,
Was anybody planning on attending the Pepperell
climate
Select
change,
Board's invite?
right?
Yeah, was that invitation to all select boards or just to us?
I think everybody in several
Anybody-
legislative
Several
Everyone,
towns?
yeah, in,
I'm sure it went to a
everyone in
number
Lawyer
of
Trahan's
towns.
district,
Oh, there you go.
I think.
It was something like that.
Yeah, it's the voting districts of Lori Trahan, Senator Kennedy, and Representative Sheila Harrington.
What day of the-
Senators the entire state, but
No, it's just,
Well,
What day of the week is June 24th?
Thursday, week from Thursday.
oh, it's a virtual meeting now.
Yeah, it's virtual.
yeah, it's a virtual.
I'll be out of town.
Well, we can't send a quorum, but
Jeff, are you interested in going?
I will do my best to attend. I'm not sure if I'll be free that day. I was
Okay.
just curious if,
All right.
what the,
I was gonna look at my calendar, I have not gotten there yet, but I may attend as well.
I think that's a good point, though. If you all are expecting to deliberate, which I don't think it's
No.
really.
if we don't deliberate, we're allowed to attend, like it
Just
would be a,
attend
yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and we will make sure that we don't,
I could be here, I don't know.
why would you be here? No, it's a remote meeting.
Oh, no, I could be in this
Oh.
part of the country.
Oh, well, that would be, okay,
I might be in somewhere with a beach.
all right.
I will be in Idaho.
Nice. I don't want to go to Idaho.
That's not where we want to be. All right, so, then, back to,
Popped up.
anything else on correspondences?
No, well, I don't have anything.
All right, then,
June 24th.
all in favor, raise your hand. All right, all approved, thank you. Moving on to appointments. So I will entertain a motion.
Move to reappoint the following members to the corresponding bodies for a term to expire June 30th, 2024. And it says Board of Appeals, Paige
Zapiga.
Zapiga, Capital Planning Committee, Douglas Adler and Jonathan Larkin, Council on Aging, C. David Hull and Diane Wasik, and the Recreation Commission, Denise Walsh.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Does anybody have any questions, comments regarding any of these candidates?
I do not, but to the discussion we had the last time we did this,
Yeah.
it's something, maybe it's something we could discuss at our goals meeting. We could put on the agenda for the goals meeting to discuss how we want to do these
A
things
different
going
way.
forward,
Yeah.
just so, you know, if there is anybody that has any need or want to discuss a particular candidate for reappointment, we discuss it and then have that reappointment on the next agenda for, for support or for support of their, reappointments. It came up at the last meeting,
Yeah, I mean-
and, there may be some in the future that we have questions about, or other boards have questions about it. Might be nice to figure out a way to discuss them prior to them coming either for reappointment without discussion.
Okay.
So basically, it's almost like a policy.
No, I
You see it
understand.
before that, yeah.
Right, actually, so we could incorporate it into the board's policies, but I think I understand. You would,
Yeah.
per-
Yeah,
Because
we should have an opportunity to be able to discuss prior to us
Yeah.
voting on.
Because we know whose terms are gonna expire.
Right.
So
We
we
all-
can,
So we have it.
Right, because we also talked about a series of, a questionnaire type of thing. And I actually saw one with an appointment recently, that was an old one that someone had got their hands on and filled out. It was in our packet. It was in one of
Yeah.
our packets.
well, we've been having people, not for
Yeah.
reappointments, but we've been having people fill out
Right.
appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's just, I have no problem with any of these reappointments. It's just going forward, if there's questions, it would be nice to have an opportunity to discuss them prior to them coming on the agenda for reappointment.
Yes, I did get that feedback as well. I just hadn't, for these particular appointments, I couldn't figure out how to make it work before the end of the year. But I do intend to do that. All right, do I, any other comments regarding any of these appointees?
Just people's names and no.
Sorry, 1 second.
No
No,
worries.
just continued thanks for volunteering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, then all in favor, raise your hands. All right, I will note that everybody who is appointed here, again, we are appointing, but all these members have to also be sworn in at the town clerk's office. Town clerk's office is open for business, and I'm sure you can also call and make an appointment as well. So, but just don't forget to get sworn in as well. And item B is for the planning board. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to appoint Natalie Robert as a full member of the planning board with a term to expire June 30th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Bill, would you like to speak to this?
Unless we have
Sorry.
Natalie, we might have Natalie.
Do we have Natalie?
Natalie has been an alternate member for some
Right.
time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, she's been an alternate member, and,
Hey, she's testing us right now.
oh, she's on it.
Yeah, she is.
But, no, she's been a standing member.
Oh, there you are.
There's a little bit of a delay, I think, so.
Oh,
No worries. We're adjusting. Hi, Natalie, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you guys?
We just
Good.
wanted to make sure you actually wanted the job and we weren't appointing you without.
I'm ready and willing.
Excellent.
great.
Anybody have any questions for Natalie?
I only want to say that I've heard from those that I speak to on the planning board, good feedback, Natalie, so thank you for your participation. And I'm looking at you on the screen as if I'm actually speaking with you. It's kind of odd, but I did that at Zoom, with Zoom at home too, but now doing it here is a little different because it's a big screen. But anyway, so thank you for your work. And I also, while I say that, it's disheartening in many ways to see Andrew Demore resign, because Andrew had done over the course of time so much and cared so much, and played a role that was very, very important on a number of various initiatives that were going on. Never was afraid to challenge and question, and so I'm sorry to see that Andrew has, I guess for good reason for himself, but has chosen to take a step back. But Natalie, I hope you fill his void and we move forward.
Well, he will be very missed, but I hope that I can start to begin to help fill the space left behind.
Thank you, Natalie. And thank you. I actually see you involved in a lot of different parts of town, so we really appreciate all of your involvement in all the different scopes of things. Really appreciate it. All right. Anything else? All right. All in favor? Excellent. All right. Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Natalie.
And thank you, Bill. So again, same thing, that you'll have to get sworn in at the town clerk's office. All right. We have lots of town property usage.
I'm just curious, are you watching on Zoom?
I have a Zoom, yes.
How is this portrayed? How do we come
We
across
probably look crooked because we're looking.
on Zoom? Are we seen as a group? Are we
Yes,
seeing?
as a
we
group.
are.
Show them on the screen.
Can you show
Like,
the?
Can you show like?
No.
No.
Oh, never mind.
Don't
I'm
scare,
just
don't scare
curious,
us.
'cause-
No, you know what it looks
It's like a
that-
tiny. If you
Oh,
can
nice.
see,
You know
it's
the
you
public
at a
access
table.
Okay.
It's all of you
All right.
here.
We all in one box?
Yeah,
You're all in one box. Yeah.
It's the same view from public. access.
Lilliputians.
okay. I just wondered how,
Yeah.
how it was viewed
Yes,
by
we're very
people
boxed.
watching Zoom.
All right. Okay, so we have a number of uses of town property, and a lot of them have came in kind of last minute, or actually, I guess only 2 of them, but
Yeah.
it felt like more. But it's also something that we're thinking of possibly considering is there something where, would there be a criteria where we would decide that it would be okay to allow the town administrator or the town administrator's office to give these permissions, if, overall, or whether because if they come in before another meeting or, after a meeting's been posted. So I was wondering what people think about that.
Yeah, I think that would be a smart idea, and the one that sort of took me by, we got that one about the schools, and I'm saying, if the schools are gonna have their own event on a field that is virtually theirs, I would think that we could allow the schools, especially, the opportunity without getting, and I realize the whole issue of who owns the property, but I also think that it's a wise idea to avoid having to have people, can we get on the agenda tomorrow, and everything else, when it's really rather routine. Now, if there's something odd going on, if they want to have a carnival, that might be something we need to speak to as a board. But if it's just to use the field for story time, we're not going to expect to have, sales of popcorn and rides and whatever. I think, I have no problem whatsoever in saying, the Selectman's office or the administrator's office can deal with that. That's my own thoughts. But again, I think we have to just sort of determine what's out of the box and make sure that we see the ones that are out of the box. So I guess you err on the side of caution. If you think that that's not out of the box, you approve it. If you think it's out of the box,
Yeah, but that's subjective. So I would come up with some sort of like
Criteria.
parameters.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Just say the
True.
first time an event comes up, it comes to us, and if they're doing it annually, then every year after that, if it's substantially the
Maybe.
same, then.
Yeah.
and
that's
or if
how,
it's-
that's
Get the
how
block
we
party.
Yeah, that's how
sort
we've
of
done
done it
some
in the
things.
past too, but
The consent agenda. but-
some of them I don't think we need to necessarily see. But like I say, if it's a carnival, I'd want to approve it.
Well, if it's from the library or from a town entity as opposed to an
That's
outside
true.
town entity,
That's
I
a
feel
valid point
more
too.
comfortable giving that authority to I don't feel the library is going to cause a
No, I
major
agree.
disturbance.
Big ruckus reading story time.
I mean, if you really look at this, it's got, so you've got the Sesquicentennial Committee, the library, the school, and Metro West Kung Fu, who we've already seen and granted permission before. So it's pretty much most of these are.
The first time the duck race came through, I would say that's out of the box.
absolutely.
I want to hear that. But, getting a new date for it, since we've already heard it, I don't think we need to approve it again.
How about I'll propose some criteria
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then see what you guys think.
Sounds good.
That way we can do that. So in the meantime, we will work our way through all of these. So I'll entertain a motion for the Crow Park.
Sure, move to approve the use of Crow Park for the 5th grade field day on Thursday, June 17th, 2021, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion about this?
I don't know those fifth graders.
I feel like they used to do field day all the time, and I don't think they actually asked us permission. That's very nice of them to ask. All right.
You Miss Corrigan? No.
No.
Sorry, don't know who that is.
but it's 5th grade field day. Didn't they
Yeah,
used to have
just the
the
5th graders.
Fowler field day or
Yeah,
They do, yeah.
Green Meadow field day? And this is 5th grade field day.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, though. All right, all in favor? Yep. All right. Next is Memorial Park for the Readathon. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the use of Memorial Park by the Maynard Public Library to host a readathon from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. on June 24th, 2021, with a rain date of June 25th, 2021, as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion about this? All right, all in favor? Okay. Coolidge Field.
I'll move to approve the use of Coolidge Field by Elliot Prisby of Metro West Kung Fu on June 26, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have any discussion on this one? All in favor? All right. Memorial Park for the 29th.
Sure. Move to approve the use of Memorial Park by the Maynard Public Library. Request to host story time from 10:30 a.m. until 11:15 a.m. on June 29th, 2021, and every Tuesday through August 10th, 2021.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Memorial Park again.
I'll move to approve the use of Memorial Park by the Maynard Public Library. Request to host Wildlife Encounter from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. on July 9th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any comments? All right, all in favor? And river access for the duck race.
Sure. Move to amend the special permit for the duck race fundraiser of the Sesquicentennial Steering Committee from the canceled date of June 5th to the new date of Sunday, August 22nd, 2021 at 11 a.m., with a rain date of Sunday, August 28th, 2021 at 11 a.m., contingent upon adherence with all federal, state, and local public health and safety guidance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. And Armand? Any discussion? And all in favor? Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Next, I'll read this. This is our public hearing for Maynard Pizza House, 149 Main Street. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 138, as amended, that a public hearing will be held on Tuesday, June 15th, 2021, at 7:15 p.m. in the Michael J. Giannotis Meeting Room, number 201, at the Maynard Town Building, on the application for a new retail restaurant license on premise for all alcohol beverages as a common victular license for Polista Pizza Incorporated, doing business as Maynard Pizza House. Manager Vanessa DePaula at 149 Main Street, Maynard, Mass. Copy of the application is on file in the Select Board office. So, I will start with, we'll start and we'll do the motion afterwards. So, hi there.
Hi.
How are you? I take
I'm
it
good.
You are Vanessa?
Yes.
All right.
So basically, we had the liquor license last year, and then with COVID, we never even used it. And so this year, we were like, I don't know what we're gonna do, so we didn't end up renewing. And now with everything opened, we're like, okay, let's renew, let's get this up and going, because we weren't doing any dine-in at all. We were just doing curbside and deliveries.
Okay, all right. I know that before you were, I think I went through the tips, I think, with one of you, either with you or with one of you.
Yeah, it was myself.
Yeah, so you have to have your servers recertified, or, okay, all right. Does anyone have any questions for Vanessa? So I noticed that it's, you're including outdoor.
Yes.
And you're gonna be, how is that gonna be defined?
So what we're thinking, to start off, we're just going to do 2 patio tables in the front. I don't know if you've been, a couple of years back, we had just the 2 patio tables on the front. We're trying to work and see if we're able to get the patio tables on the side where our driveway is now. The only problem we're having is our dumpster. So we're trying to figure out if that's a possibility, but for now, it's just the 2 tables in the front.
Okay.
Would that require a change at all? No?
No, we've actually
Yeah.
included that side on the map just in
Okay.
case,
Yeah.
because they own the space.
Right.
So if it's already approved, then go forward.
So it would be approved along with this?
Right.
Yeah. Anything else? So as far as the 2 patio tables, I'm just trying to think the other outdoor dining we have. I mean, it's not much as far as differentiation, but I feel like everyone who serves alcohol has some kind of a bar.
Yeah,
barrier.
we're aware
So
of
you're gonna
that.
do something
Yeah.
like that? Okay, all right.
We're thinking, following like Gigi's and Asuka, we're going to follow the same concept.
Okay,
Flower beds and chains.
okay, All right, perfect. Anyone else
Okay.
have anything?
Is there any direct access, and I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to this at all,
Yeah.
I think, I just am curious, direct access from the rail trail to that property at all? No? Okay.
In the back, we have a little area that, that my mom just plants, and then there's a fence, and then it's all.
Yeah, okay.
Great. Anybody else? All right, I can take, does anyone in the room have any comments regarding this? All right.
Or anybody that's online.
You
No, we can't do it online.
Can't do online.
Really?
No,
Yeah, I don't.
Oh.
no, it's,
No,
we checked with town council this
Okay.
morning.
Oh,
Town council
sorry.
says we can't.
We'll see.
No.
I don't know.
Okay.
That'll probably will be another one of those things
Yeah.
that gets figured out in the next few days.
It
But-
might be addressed in the governor's.
Right.
Yeah,
But tonight, that's what we're doing.
okay.
All right, so then I will entertain a motion.
A motion to approve the application for an on-premise restaurant, all alcoholic beverages for Polista Pizza, Inc., doing business as Maynard Pizza House at 149 Main Street, Maynard, Mass., with manager on record, Vanessa DePaula.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Okay, all right,
you.
congratulations, good luck.
Thank you. Hopefully COVID is not here.
Yeah,
Good luck.
Fingers crossed.
Good luck.
All right, and then I will close the public hearing at 7:36 PM. Okay. All right, so next we'll move on to the Maynard Housing Authority Capital Fund Program Amendment. And I will accept a motion.
I'll move to accept this amendment to the Capital Fund Program, CFP, from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Do I have a second?
second.
Thank you, Armand.
So I mean, it's in the letter, but let's see if we can get Bob. Is Bob on? Do we know?
Let's see here. It doesn't look like it. No.
Nope, okay, well, all right.
You're up, Greg.
That's fine. So, Bob said this was pretty routine. In fact, he asked if I could just approve it, but it's out of my authority. So, they get a federal funding, and so he's asking for the acceptance of this amendment to that federal funding. It doesn't seem controversial at all. And I would strongly recommend that you approve this for their funding use.
So the amendment just gives them additional monies?
Right.
Okay.
Do you remember what it was previous?
I don't.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions? Right. Well then, all in favor? All right, very good. Item number 10, Regional Housing Services Office. I will entertain a motion.
Move to authorize the town administrator to approve the annual amendment to the intermunicipal agreement for the Regional Housing Services Office as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Is Liz on?
She is.
Perfect.
Great.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Liz.
Liz.
Hi. So, how do I best do this, right? Am I sharing my screen? Is that what we're doing here?
We can try. Bear with us.
Okay, yep. I think you have the slides too, so you could just show them and I could talk, or however
They may
works
be in our
best for you.
packet.
Yeah, I just gave you permission, Liz. Sorry, if you can.
That's
you
okay.
can.
Yep.
If it works.
So how about that?
That is it.
That is it. Okay, well, welcome to in-person meetings, right? Hi, everybody. So I'm Liz Russ, and I'm the Director of the Regional Housing Services Office, and here to just give you a quick update on the program in general and a little bit about what we've been doing to support Maynard. This is part of an annual update as we go into the next year of the intermunicipal agreement. So the Regional Housing Services Office, this is our service model. So you can see here that you're one of 9 communities, all led by the town of Concord. Concord does all of the contracting and staff procurement and administrative functions and with the money and the IT support and what have you. And the member towns receive housing services for an annual fee. It's a 3-year IMA term with an annual amendment. It contracts a certain number of hours. There's an advisory committee and some shared costs for regional support and inventory management and other functions. There's a little chart down at the bottom, and when I put this together, this was the basis of a presentation done to the town leadership last week. You can see that all communities are in safe harbor from the 40B, or as part of the 40B regulations, and so that's very exciting, first time ever, and that includes Maynard. So just a little bit about how the RHSO, what the leadership and oversight is. So the lead community, Concord, has the overall management responsibility. We have an annual meeting for the town managers and town administrators. Again, as I mentioned before, a quarterly advisory committee that Megan represents Maynard. And then we have our annual budget process that goes through the year as the budget does. And it starts in the fall. And most communities, including Maynard, are CPA articles, so those start pretty early. And then it's pay in advance, so the invoices are sent in July. During the year, we have a quarterly status report, which is an extensive reporting on all activity, tracking of hours. Again, it's a fee for hours kind of model. Monthly status meetings, and we meet with the Maynard staff on the second Tuesdays, and updates to boards and committees as requested. So I'm here tonight. I attend the Maynard Housing Trust, and as does Liz Valenta from our office. We're an office of 4 part-time contractors, all with technical expertise in housing. A little bit of a recap, and again, just brought this up to a level that's common between the different communities. As I mentioned before, the RHSO, all communities are in safe harbor, and Maynard as well, with a certified housing production plan just through the end of, or through the middle of September. We've done a lot of resales, and the Maynard, there's a resale. Maynard has very few restricted ownership units, but Marble Farm is one development, and there's one resale unit that's up, and that's closing in July. One of the other areas of work for us is around the local support and program administration. This year, we administered an emergency rental assistance program in 5 communities, including Maynard. As well, then we do project and development assistance. So there was the 42 Summer Project, the View, 150 Parker, and other developments that might come before the planning board through development agreements or other kinds of conditions that surface. And then we do training and workshops, and we're embarking on a 5-year action plan for fair housing. And then for our goals, very briefly, just to continue the support to the owners and property managers. And we'll do that in person in the monitoring. The View, I think that they were just sold, is that what it was? Or transferred in some fashion. And we did a detailed monitoring review so that we know that at the transfer that they were in compliance with all their requirements. Continue our local support for projects and the town staff. Our model is really one of staff assistance. So we really work through the town staff to deliver our support and then maintaining our office. We're going to hire a new part-time staff and continue to promote the RHSO model and do the rest of our work. Here is our budget, which is just really a lot of numbers. And I toyed with whether to include it in your packet, but I think everyone's always interested in how their community stacks up to the other communities in terms of support. So Maynard coming in new year is really at the same level as Wayland in terms of support for us. I think that that's working well, but we'll work with the town to see whether that's the right level as we go forward. I think this is the first, we've just finished the first full year with Maynard, right? We started, is that right?
I think so. Yep.
Yep.
We start in FY '20, mid-year, I think. And anyway, so then you can see most of the expenses are all staffing. There's a little bit of program expense and then administrative costs that the town of Concord uses for rent and IT and some of their expenses. And then just a summary. So it's 10 years of operation in this model, continued support. And I say that because I think that the success of the model is the leadership support, both at the town administrator, town manager, as well as all the boards of selectmen. This is a model that came from town leadership. It's not a state requirement, certainly, and it's not it's support for the boards and committees, but I think it's the leadership support that makes it work. It's a proactive compliance monitoring, helps to preserve and create units and maintain the housing inventory. It's an efficient use of resources, since we can have technically competent, not competent, but housing's a complicated field, and so we are up on all the latest regulations and practices, and you can tap into that without hiring your own housing expert, and then leveraging resources and experiences with your neighbors. You can see that by some of the the safe harbors or the ERAP program, the efficiency by sharing those across the different communities, which goes to the regional approach. So that was my presentation, and it's hard. I don't know where you are.
We're in a really small
Can't really
box.
see anybody.
We're in the corner of the
There you are. Okay. So you're very small, right? So, or I feel very big, but anyway, yes. So it's nice to see you. And if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you and to answer anything I can.
Anyone have any questions?
More of a comment, just Liz, thank you for your assistance, especially where I've been involved with the Housing Trust. And, as we, now, I don't know how many years we've been doing that, but you joined helping us right at the start, even though before you joined on with this program with the town. And your assistance and your knowledge and your, just the ability that you bring with you to guide us through the things that we need to know, that we're not experts in that, you are. And so thank you for that effort, and I'm looking forward to working with you continued in that role as well.
Well, thank you. And I do want to commend Maynard for all your efforts in affordable housing since I've started to be involved with you as a town, the Affordable Housing Trust, and the housing production plan, and certifying the housing production plan, and producing units through the new zoning that was enacted. And there's just a lot of efforts that you're taking to further those efforts in town, and they're really to be commended.
Yeah, even the assistance you gave us with the rental assistance program over the last year during COVID and everything else, 16 families here in Maynard that it made a difference. And, we should all be proud of that as a community, that we were able to do that. But again, that would not have been able to be done without your assistance and coordination with us. So thanks.
Sure. It's our pleasure, really. We like working with the town. I would say that you have a very enthusiastic group of boards and citizens involved with your civic affairs, and it's really a nice thing to see.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much, Liz. We really appreciate you giving us the update.
Sure.
So there's a motion on the table. All in favor? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I look forward to working with you again.
Thank you.
All right. Next is Coolidge School reuse, and I will entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the extension of the deadline to April 30th, 2022 for the closing and deed conveyance for 12 Bancroft Street to Consigli Real Estate Holdings, LLC, doing business as Civico Development, and authorize the town administrator to execute the extension on our behalf.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. All right, Greg, would you like to start us off?
So, just as a reminder, Civico had been awarded the RFP that they had submitted for the Coolidge School. But as you may recall, there's some hangups that they're having trying to secure their historic tax credits that is administered through the Secretary of State's office. So Taylor Bearden, who's a partner with Civico, had reached out to us kind of to update us where they are with those tax credits, and then asking, and he gives a good report and summary of where they are. But they're asking for that extension, which they had kind of warned us that they might need. I think Taylor is with us.
I'm here.
Hey, Taylor.
Say, I would think so, because someone's taken control of the computer.
Oh, that's not.
That's not Megan.
Very good.
No.
So Taylor, what do you need?
Hi, everyone. Again, for the record, my name is Taylor Bearden, partner at Civico Development. What I'd like to do here is just give a quick background for the benefit of the board as to how we got to where we are, and then I'll propose again exactly what we're looking for in terms of extension. So the closing per the purchase and sale was expected to be April 1st, 2021. That's obviously passed. We did exercise a by right option for a 90-day extension. So we are coming up on the hypothetical closing date of July 1 per the current terms of the purchase agreement. And what I had hoped between April 1 and July 1 was to get an update for you all about the status of our historic tax credit awards. We did receive our first allocation in April, and what that allows us to do is project forward based on an expectation that we'll continue to receive the equal installments about when we reasonably can close on the property. So where we're at right now is that in order to make a building that is most consistent with the RFP response we submitted, it's important that we purchase the building basically at the same time as we have accrued enough historic tax credits that we can get 100% of our allocation by the time we get the certificate of occupancy. Our expectation is that we can start that by April 2022. So what we would be anticipating doing is purchasing the building, let's just say April 15th, 2022, we would start construction essentially immediately, and then construction would be complete about a year thereafter. So what we're proposing here is a blanket extension to April 30th, 2022, with the ability for us to close earlier, which I understand would be in the best interest of the town, if we're able to procure funds from mass development related to a certain program called the Underutilized Properties Program, which we've already applied for. So as long as the language in the extension enables us to close earlier, which I think is our mutual interest, we would like the right to do so. And per previous discussions with this board and with the town administrator, there was an expectation that per year of carrying costs, it would cost the town about $14,000. So what I've presented here is that we can increase the purchase price by $7,000 if we close on or before December 31st, and we would increase by another $4,667 if we closed on or before April 30th. So with that said, the request of the select board would be to approve that extension until April 30th, 2022, and permit us the right to close by December 31st, depending on the outcome of the Mass Development Award. With that, I'll turn that back to the chair.
Okay, thank you, Taylor. Anybody have any questions for Taylor regarding this?
Taylor, can you go into a little more detail on the misconnect between what we expected to happen and what has happened in regards to the historic tax credits? Why are we seeing this delay that we clearly did not expect to see?
Yeah, so there's a couple reasons why this is happening. One, the historic tax credit program in general is oversubscribed, and what that means is that essentially the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in order to throttle the number of applicants and ensure that they can make allocations that meet demand, is they kind of disqualify applicants early on technicalities in order to sort of slow them down. And so we, due to a number of changes we had to make in the design as we were going, value engineering changes, were disqualified for a couple of rounds. So we didn't receive our first allocation until this April, which was slower than our anticipation and what we presented in the RFP. Furthermore, there's a variable here related to the amount of money you receive per allocation, and we received less than we would have expected. Therefore, it prolongs the number of rounds that we need to apply for in order to get the allocation required to make the project financially feasible.
Thank you. And for Greg, we're not agreeing to the increase in purchase price right now. We're just agreeing to extend the time that they have to get to the close. Is that correct?
That's true. I mean, the motion doesn't include that level of detail. But I mean, my understanding is that I will be asking for that money.
I just want to make sure I understand what I'm approving tonight as opposed to, yes, nope, that's understood.
I just have one question about the historic tax credits as well. I'm unfamiliar with how it works. So is it the expectation now that you've gotten your first approval that you will just keep getting approvals? That's just the way.
So that's correct. And that was why it was important that we exercise that 90-day extension, because we, unfortunately, by April 1st, we hadn't received a first allocation. So we weren't able to make an informed estimate because we still hadn't received that sort of benchmark credit allocation. Once you receive the benchmark, it's generally expected you're going to receive that in equal increments for as many rounds as is needed to meet 80 to 100% of your allowable limit.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? So Greg, should we amend this motion to include the allowance for the early closing?
You can. You can.
All right. And then do you want to include the money as well, or no? No.
Well,
okay.
So
I mean, that's.
I would probably just stick to and I think if you allow for the closing up to the longest that he's requesting, April 30th.
Right.
Then sooner the better is fine. Yeah, otherwise, I think if the board would like to consider amending the motion to add in the terms as he's presented related to the closing costs, like the purchase price, you can do that.
For whatever.
Aren't you're going to execute the extension? Won't it be in the extension?
Yes, that's true, but it's not explicitly like it's. I think to Jeff's point, this doesn't say. This is just allowing for the extension, but this doesn't necessarily, in my interpretation, or maybe in his interpretation, he could argue later potentially that you agree to the extension, but not necessarily to this extension of this additional purchase price. But I mean, like we've been working with Taylor for a long time now, and so I think he's good for it. But still, if the board would like to include that purchase price, expansion or addition, you can.
I'm comfortable with as it's written here.
As is written in our motion?
Yes.
Okay, so with the approval extension to the deadline, right, so you can close anytime before that?
Yeah.
Correct, okay. All right, any other questions, comments? All in favor? All right. Thank you, Taylor.
Good luck.
Taylor.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Taylor.
All right. Next on the agenda is going to be the Council on Aging, and I think I'll hold off on the motion. We'll let Amy present first, and I think we have Amy Lovelace here. Hello.
Yes, you do. Hello, everyone. You look very small, very far away. But thank you for having me. The invitation to discuss the search for a new space for the senior center. I've prepared some remarks, and then I think after that we can open up for discussion and questions. The Council on Aging relocated to a renovated space in the golf course function hall building in January of 2015. Prior to this, the Council on Aging was a small space in the Mill and Main complex for, I think, 15 plus years. The COA's new location offered an opportunity to provide a wide of programs and activities addressing physical, educational, and social needs of Maynard seniors. Enthusiastic attendance quickly began to affect the number of participants in some programs, as well as the ability to expand programs. Of greater concern than the space limitations is a physically challenging access to the building, which creates serious risks during the inclement weather season. And there hasn't been any way to modify or eliminate this problem. Over the last 6 years, starting immediately after the COA relocated, the search for an appropriate space continued. Shared space options to purchase and renovate, or any leasable situation were pursued and discussed. These included, but were not limited to, shared space opportunity with open table at their downtown location, a shared space opportunity with the congregational church space, which has become the sanctuary. We engaged the Boys and Girls Club during the 2 previous directors' tenure. We looked at purchase or lease options related to the Gruber's building, the former Courier and Chives building, which I now believe is now Green Star. We looked at the Coolidge School in terms of renovation twice. I was reached out to by the Coolidge task force on potential reuse. And there were other considerations, discussions about any opportunity that we would have a larger space, but also a more accessible space. During this last year, I think late last fall, would that have been 2019? And prior to the shutdown, Armand introduced me to the leasing management company at Mill and Main, Lincoln Property. During this past year, a space was proposed in a lower level building. It's been evaluated by the COA board, the COA staff, and the town administrator. The COA board felt the space is more than sufficient to expand the programs and attendees, but more importantly, it met their priorities of having appropriate accessibility, parking, and being located closer near to downtown Maynard. The COA board felt that this initial proposal, though, might be cost prohibitive. I have reached out to Lincoln Properties to ask if there was the possibility to negotiate the cost to the lease and terms. And I actually have just received a new proposal, more to follow on this. During the last year as well, Lincoln Properties also manages the building at 141 Parker Street, the former Digital Credit Union. So I toured the building with Lincoln Properties. We looked at the space that was available. It's a multi-suite building, and there were not suites on the same floor. But I did ask them to have sort of a place marker for us that if there were spaces available on a single floor, it might be a consideration for us as a temporary or transitional space. As well, this past year, the Boys and Girls Club was reevaluated. They have a wonderful new director, and so went and took a tour to discuss the options. Of course, we all know there's great accessibility with the parking. It's close to the schools in downtown. But in this setting, the COA hours would have to be significantly reduced, and there would be no access to the space, so to speak, for 11 weeks during the summer, 4 vacation weeks, and multiple early release days. Nonetheless, the newly renovated gym offers a great venue for programs and events that a greater number of seniors could attend than at the current Council on Aging. Also during this past year, and I'm not sure if this developer is still engaged, but there was a potential developer of the John Deere property on Powder Mill Road, and we spoke at that time. They were considering different options, and one option they were thinking about at that time was perhaps housing, and that they were asking if the Council on Aging, the Senior Center, might be interested in being part of that, that I guess facility, or that what they intended perhaps to do with that space. So that's where things stand in terms of the Senior Center space search. We are continuing to be where we are at this point in time. We do have reopening plans in place, which I can discuss with you this evening or at a further date. The next steps in this process, and this is what the COA board and I have discussed. I've presented this to the Board of Selectmen. I'd just like to reiterate What we believe the next steps in this process include, in the near term, the Council on Aging Board with the COA Director will continue to evaluate multi-use, leasable, and shared space opportunities. And just to reiterate as well, COA Board has prioritized accessibility, parking, and room to expand, as well as proximity to downtown being very important. Another near-term next step, that the COA Director will continue to use community venues such as the Boys Girls Club, gym, and the Maynard Elks Hall as means to expand programs and accommodate a larger group of attendees. Another near-term, short-term goal is that the Council on Aging Board with the COA Director will evaluate the effect of an increase in the principal clerk's hours to support extending the COA's hours. The Council on Aging Board with the COA Director will make recommendations through the budget development process. Another near-term, short-term goal is that the COA Board with the Council on Aging Director will consider the creation of an ad hoc committee to survey seniors in the community's interest in a senior or community center. Our longer-term step includes an established facility with appropriate access, sufficient parking, and space to continue to expand programs and events. And I welcome your input, your questions, and a more thorough conversation.
Great. Thank you very much, Amy, for all of that. That is a lot of information to digest right there. Anyone have any questions or comments for Amy?
I have a question, Amy. Has there been any conversation, it's difficult because it's a private organization, but has there been any communication with Camellia Gardens, the congregate care home, about possibly finding space in their building that might be accommodating to a Maynard Council on Aging, site, given the fact that there are even people there. Now, granted, they have their own programming and everything else in there, but there could be people that want to socialize with Maynard residents there, and it also, spotlights that organization for Maynard seniors who may have a desire to move there. Just a thought that perhaps there could be some type of public-private partnership between them and Maynard's Council on Aging. The other comment that I would make is, this is like I guess it will become our new fire station project because, you have to think of the way that developed and the way it's taken time and the way that we got there. But the number one thing is to get it on our capital plan, which it has not been on our capital plan, to my recollection. And last year when, at our meeting, when the capital plan was listed, I noted the fact that there's nowhere on the capital plan was a senior center. At least have it on the list so it's on the radar per se. So those are a few comments that, I think it's going to take time, and I think it's going to, but it has to be, as we think about our future and as we build our budgets and as we put aside money for capital projects, that has to be one of the things that we are thinking about as we move forward. Because at the end of the day, it comes down, if we do build an independent building, it comes down to money. And it comes down to affordability, and it comes down to how it fits in with other issues that we've got ongoing, including the potential of a future expansion of an elementary school, new elementary school. Who knows how that'll come out, and other competing priorities per se. But if you're not in the game, you're not, you're going to be pushed aside. And so I think the number one thing is to make sure it's in the game.
Yeah. So that will be addressed in terms of adding it to the capital planning list, so to speak. I believe that will be addressed in September, and I will have that discussion with the capital planning committee. Greg and I are speaking about that, and that will absolutely be inserted into the conversation. Sort of almost implicit, but it needs to be formalized that we do need an established space, a space that meets current needs, but also future needs. And in addition to the seniors, there's obviously, I'm sure, community needs for some sort of gathering place, such as a community center. The first question, I totally, David, I've talked to Camellia Gardens, Cynthia and I, she's the marketing director there. We're really looking forward to, now that we're on the other side of the COVID restrictions, about trying to find ways for residents and non-residents, in terms of seniors, to have some interaction. I mean, just to get to know each other, for them to get to know our community more fully, and certainly for our seniors to have a sense of what Camellia Gardens is all about. So that's definitely on the radar. I don't think that we would actually insert, a council on aging within that, but I think there's a great opportunity for partnership and activities or programs, or so that definitely that's will be pursued now that things have opened up.
Yeah, I know that the residents at that location want to become a part of our community more so than they are right now. I think it was remarkable that just one contact with that organization brought probably 15 seniors to Sunday's Flag Day / Memorial Day ceremony. 15 veterans, and then a couple of people who helped coordinate. And I've been over there. I was over there for Veterans Day as well this past year, and they held their own ceremony. And I told them when they were there, they are part of our community, and they are welcome in Maynard, and they should become part of our community. And that would be a great way to encourage the the commingling, per se. They are part of Maynard, and they are part of our community, and an important part at that. And so hopefully that we can somehow find a way to, to build it. Socialization, as I don't have to tell you, but socialization among seniors is extremely important, especially, I think we learned that more so just as with young kids during the COVID crisis, that there's a need to have that opportunity to communicate with one another, to continue to, to be part of a community.
Absolutely.
So, Amy, do you anticipate this ad hoc committee to probably explore some of these ideas? David has mentioned one, and what do you think that committee's kind of goal is going to be, or mission is going to be?
Yeah. Well, what the COA board and I have talked about, I think at this point, I think it's like on multiple levels. I think the COA board, myself, we're continuing to look at, the multi-use, the leasable, things that are happening in the here and now that might be options. I think the idea of an ad hoc committee would be to just take the pulse again of the community, the seniors and the community, in terms of what they see at large, what they'd like in a more established facility. I think it's good to get the pulse again. I think there was a study a few years ago. And I think it's sort of time, if we're looking ahead in terms of, building a facility or completely renovating a facility, making it far more user-friendly, then we need to know what the needs are out there in a much broader suite. So the COA board is formulating that, the concept of what the ad hoc committee would be about, and I anticipate that when they meet again, probably in September, October, that they'll be much clearer and take steps forward in terms of putting together a committee.
Yeah. So you and I have spoken about the to a degree. Hopefully the ad hoc committee is going to come up with those options or solutions, but we're looking at short term and then long term. So obviously you're going to have to find a way to address the short term, and you are looking at some options, obviously, and then the long term. And yeah, you already have a plan to put this on capital planning agenda and put it on their radar, because it has to be there. I mean, 25% of the population right now in Maynard is seniors, and they're growing. So it's only right that we do address that and come up with, solution long term. But right now, short term, you have to find something that's a little bit more suitable.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is, we just, continue to, look at the options that Maynard has to offer. I have it on my list to reach out to the Capital Group. Once again, I had the pandemic. I had been in touch with them regarding what was an option. I don't even think it exists anymore. There were two businesses that were going to be in place. And then with the pandemic, I don't think that came to fruition. I was there noticing that there were 4 lease opportunities, but I'd also like to speak to the Capital Group. I think there's some renovation, something being done with the R1, or there's a big building in the back that I would like to check in with them about to see what that's
Yeah, there's a
all
new
about.
contact person there, so I'll forward that to you if you want.
Perfect. Thank you, Armand.
Amy, has the COA board discussed what the space requirements, you mentioned criteria, but I don't seem to see anything explicit about, what the space or other requirements for parking is for either the short-term solutions or a long-term large capital project?
Okay, so in terms of, accessibility, if you've been to, the accessibility, we're referring to, entrance to a building. We have to look at it from the point of view of someone in
Amy, if I may
walker,
interrupt.
a wheelchair, with a cane. On that level on up, there has to be ease of access. Parking, I think
Amy.
when we think about, am I cutting up?
No, I just wanted to kind of refine my question. So I'm more interested to see if these are put out there somewhere publicly other than, say, in the Council of Aging minutes, especially on space requirements that we're hoping to get for our seniors. Just make some of these kind of criteria more explicit and publicly accessible rather than just a listing at a meeting. Is that possible?
Okay. Yeah, that is absolutely possible. We've had the discussion within our board meetings, but I can find ways to make that very explicit. I can definitely incorporate that into the newsletter. I can put that on the town COA webpage. That's a really good point, Jeff. I can definitely address that beyond the COA, minutes and also this meeting.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to second what David had said about getting on the capital list. I think, like the fire station, this is a project that gets delayed and delayed, implicitly, just due to the large funding costs. And even if we are unable to do that in the short term, at least let's make an explicit decision why we're doing it. And when we put it onto the capital planning list and we have the cost and we know it's going to be large and we know we have an MSBA project that is sitting ahead of it, let's just make sure that we're consciously making the decision rather than unconsciously pushing it off again and again and again. And it is uncomfortable either way, but I think at least we can have a more rational decision process when we have it on the list and we have it up there for those meetings of the capital planning committee and when we do the tri-board, et cetera. And then to make those effective, and now I'm talking more to Greg, I would like to see dollar sign amounts next to more of the capital projects as the capital planning committee continues to evolve and fulfill their mission. Because obviously there's a broad range of different amounts for what is capital, and this is obviously one of the larger ones that is more comparable to the fire station or the MSBA process. So
I think one of the things, I'd had a conversation with Amy and Dave Hull a couple weeks ago, and one of the things I think that the challenge of not, the reason it hasn't been put on the capital planning is because they don't really know a dollar amount yet.
Yep.
So, but I think that was it, and Armin was on the conversation as well, that's why we basically said, we kind of say, White Pond for 40 million-ish, but we have no idea, and that's why we want to make sure that the senior center is on there as well, even with some kind of ballpark, but it may not be that, accurate.
I would rather see it on there with a number or a range or an over this amount or something that's very clearly marked as approximate than not have it on there at all. So it's just implicitly. What's that?
Yeah, we'll go high end. We can imagine like a brand new building.
Yeah.
Buying the land in first place.
Yep.
Like the fire station.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, so point of reference, West Boylston, I haven't seen the space. One of our fitness instructors teaches there, and I think, for an example, we'd have to look at their space, like it was $5 million to do their space. And so I think what on my end would be to take a look at to take a look at some spaces and be more accurate in terms of the ballpark. That would help align things.
You know, Amy, it's really, ironically enough, I guess, a compliment to you and your staff and to the programming that you've created since you've arrived, that we've outgrown the space. And it's a compliment to the Maynard seniors who have taken, you know, an interest and have really generated the need that that is there for this conversation. So, in many ways, congratulations, because it's through your leadership that this has become a necessity for us to really seriously consider and discuss. And it's time to, you know, at least have this part of the discussion.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, David. Early on, you know, it quickly became a problem in terms of, you know, the lack of space and having to have, you know, 2 sections of a particular class or activity. And, you know, I was told that sometimes it's good to have a problem because it definitely puts things on the radar, and you know that you have to address it, even though you may not know exactly how it can be addressed or how long that might take to sort of tweak or correct or fix or improve something. So I'm very fortunate. Maynard has the most incredible seniors, and it's just been a pleasure to, you know, provide what we can. And I hope that the future, the sky's the limit in terms of space and programs, and especially engagement. I'd just really like to see the greater senior community engage. It's exciting times now that we're out of 2020.
Do you have any questions?
I'm just uncertain what the motion is allowing Amy to do that she's not already able to do.
Good point. So
That's why I held off on that.
I like a good memo that has some sort of action. And so Amy and I went back and forth about what this, so no, you don't have to do any motion. I think, right, Amy, like we get, I think she has her marching order, so to speak, both from the sense of this board, but it is certainly from the Council on Aging.
Right.
And so I wanted to offer, if you guys wanted to give some direction, that's what we want to do.
Well, I feel like it's more one of those, so, you know, I kind of feel like the chain of command, if you will, type of thing, is, you know, as far as it should be the COA director and the Council on Aging working together, the Council on Aging board working together, and then basically reporting back to us periodically, but I don't think that requires a motion per se.
It doesn't require it.
I think all the motion does is suggest our support of the idea. I mean, other than that, I don't know that it's necessary, but it does offer our support.
Well, it's very clear that they need to move out of the space they're in right now. So that's probably the most direction that we could give them. Find the solution, short-term solution for them to get into a space that they could accommodate more people. I mean, if we're going to expand the program for the seniors, then you're not going to be able to accomplish that in your space you're in right now. Is that correct, Amy?
Well, you know, moving forward, yes, we won't, we're stuck. We're sort of the rock in the hard place.
Right.
That's not to say that where we are right now, we're not going to be able to continue. We will continue to provide good programs until we, you know, and engage, you know, attendees and do what we do. But, you know, there's looming issues. I think one big issue is that, you know, the access to that building, and especially in the winter, I think that's really key about, you know, underscoring that things have to move. But, you know, it's so right now we're there. I'm really hopeful with my discussion with Mill and Main, what might come of that. So it's a lot of different moving pieces, and the pieces are all moving, and, you know, something's going to give.
Yeah.
That's my feeling about it. So
what comes out of this conversation from my perspective is that we're putting this on our radar. And I think that's important, to be able to keep this, you know, in front of us at all times and have this discussion ongoing so that we eventually come up with some kind of a solution.
Yeah.
Amy, you
Definitely, I think,
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You mentioned that, and you don't have to go into a long summary, but you mentioned that you have some reopening plans.
oh, yeah, so, yeah, I can address those now, or I could come back. It's in a nutshell, I think most councils on aging before the CDC and the governor decided to change course so drastically, which is fantastic that it did happen. We were all planning on phasing in, going from outdoors to indoors. So many of the COAs are still doing that in different ways, even with complete reopening of their doors. What I anticipate for the Maynard Council on Aging is that we will anticipate phasing in our reopening probably mid-August, and perhaps we will continue with a hybrid model. We have great successful Zoom classes, we'll probably keep those in place, and we'll bring activities back, probably smaller number of individuals in a particular group with the same activities occurring, needs being met. But we're going to look at the spacing of individuals as we sort of transition. So for an example, quick example, if we had 10 people gathered for a knitting class during an hour and a half knitting, it might be more prudent to have 5 people on one side and 5 people on the other side of the space with some distancing and some comfort. A lot of surveys that COAs have done have just illustrated that there's a lot of anxiety in coming back together. So that's one of the factors that, all of us COA directors and staff want to be aware of, that we make our environments really comfortable. So in a nutshell, I'm looking at, starting to phase things in mid-August. And I'd be glad to come back to the select board and just give you a more firm update. Maybe when we get into July or something like that, if you would like.
Great, that sounds good. Anyone else have any questions, comments? I'm personally okay with not moving forward with a motion, but I will entertain one if someone wants to make one.
Fine, that way.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
update.
Thank you, Amy.
So much.
Yep.
All right. Megan. The Maynard Phase 1 Local Rapid Recovery Planning.
Sure. So we have Jeanette Tozer here with us on Zoom from BSC Group, and she is the consultant that the town of Maynard is working with because we received a grant over the winter for a local rapid recovery planning. And that is an opportunity through the state to look at our community, look at our downtown, and see how COVID has impacted us, and kind of assess what's going on and help us focus our recovery plan into 10 or so recommendations. So we have Jeanette on the line here, and she was going to go through kind of what work she's done so far, and some things she's discovered and what our next steps are.
Great. Thank you, Megan. You can hear me, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. And you can see slides, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So, like Megan said, my name is Jeanette Tozer. I'm a senior planner with BSC Group, and I'm the plan facilitator for the local rapid recovery planning project. And this is a technical assistance program through the Department of Housing and Community Development. So the purpose of tonight's presentation is to give a brief overview of that program and some highlights from the first phase, which was a diagnostic phase, looking at on-the-ground conditions in the downtown area. So the program, the goals of it are kind of two-pronged. So for the town of Maynard, the goal is to develop a set of actual projects to help the downtown emerge from the pandemic stronger than before, and also provide some primary data that the town can use to measure COVID-19 impacts on the business. For the Commonwealth, it's ensuring that communities have these data-driven plans to aid in their COVID-19 recovery efforts, and there are, Maynard is one of 125 communities participating in this program. And then the state is using this as an opportunity to collect standardized data to understand the impacts of the pandemic, on downtowns and commercial districts across the state. And they'll also use this to inform funding allocation going forward. So the study area, it follows the cultural district for the most part, with the exception of the residential area around Euclid Avenue. So it's to really focus on the commercial part of the downtown. There are 3 phases. So last month we completed the first phase, that diagnostic phase. We're currently in the project recommendation phase, so we're developing these project recommendations. Nothing has been set in stone. We hope to have, or not hope, by the end of July, we'll have the draft list of project recommendations, and then the final plans will be submitted by September 15th to the state. And that final plan will include the diagnostic findings from phase 1, and then the project recommendations will follow this rubric that the state has provided, and there, key details that will be included for each recommendation. So including budget, time frame, identifying stakeholders who are needed to implement, resources needed, risks to the project, key performance indicators, and then a list of chronological steps that are needed to implement the project. So the bulk of this presentation will be some highlights from this first phase, and the data collection looked at 4 aspects of the study area. One being the market information, the basic demographics, who lives in the study area, who works there. Looked at the physical environment, public realm, so streets and sidewalks, private realm, storefronts and building facades, and then access and visibility. Also looked at business environment, so what kinds of businesses are there, how many vacant storefronts. And the last piece is administrative capacity, so looking at who are the stakeholders, what are the regulations in the study area, or that impacting the study area. And this is intended to provide an overview and summary of on-the-ground conditions within downtown Maynard. So one part of this first phase was a business survey that was designed by Fine Point Associates, another consultant, and this was distributed to all 125 communities for business owners or business reps in the study areas. Maynard had 39 responses, which, in the grand scheme of all communities, was pretty good response rate, but it's important to keep in mind that it is only 39. It's not representative of all businesses. But the Fine Point Associates provided a summary report after the survey closed, and I think there's a healthy mix of businesses that responded, so no one type of business. It wasn't just retail or restaurants that responded. Almost half of the businesses are considered micro enterprises, so they have 5 or fewer employees, and 57% of the respondents noted that they had a decline in revenue in 2020 versus 2019, which is not a surprise, probably. The survey asked about impacts of COVID on businesses. 82% of respondents noted that they were impacted. At the time of the survey, which was completed in March and April, 66% of businesses were either operating at reduced hours or capacity or were temporarily closed. Some of the impacts, 2/3, again, reported a decline in revenue. 62% reduced hours or capacity, about half incurred expenses to implement safety measures, and about 1/3 experienced employee layoffs. One of the questions on the survey asked about the regulatory environment and any obstacles that poses to business operations. So 31% of respondents indicated that there was an obstacle, which means that 69% noted that the regulatory environment didn't pose an obstacle. The survey doesn't get into details about those regulations, so it's you can't really say from this what about those regulations are posing obstacles, but it's still, an interesting result. The survey also looked at or asked respondents to rate the importance of various strategies to support businesses and improve the commercial district. This slide is showing strategies to improve the physical environment, atmosphere, and access. And it's arranged from the top left corner is more neutral to more important in the bottom right corner. So amenity improvements for public transit and bike users response where the average rating was pretty neutral. And then development of public spaces and seating areas had the highest average rating in terms of importance. Below that was changes in public parking availability, management, or policies. Again, these are ratings. There isn't a breakdown of there aren't details provided about these different strategies, but so take it for what it is. The survey also asked about strategies for attracting and retaining customers and businesses. Again, these charts are arranged from more neutral in the top left corner to more important. Interestingly, pretty neutral on changes to zoning or other local regulations, whereas it was pretty important for more opportunities for outdoor dining and selling, as well as recruitment programs to attract additional businesses. As I mentioned earlier, the first phase also looked at the physical environment, and these are just some highlights of the data points collected. So based on site visits, there are 97 storefronts within the study area. That includes banks and offices, not just your traditional retail storefront. Average annual daily vehicular traffic. So Main Street, a primary road within the study area, a little more than 12,000. Basin Street, it's a secondary street, so about 3,500 per day. This data point is from 2019, so it's before the pandemic hit. For Maynard, there isn't a more current data point yet. The public realm scoring, so the state provided guidance on how to score various aspects of the public realm, as well as the private realm, but here are some public realm scores. So wayfinding and signage grade of B, that's indicating that there is signage within the area, but it's primarily for motorists. Street trees and benches grade. So this was based on site visits. I think before there were some trees that have been planted. So that also impacted the score. So just keep that in mind. In terms of business environment, some of the data points based on site visits, 150 and online research. There's 155 businesses within the study area. Total number of business closures, so based on information from the town, 5 businesses closed since March 2020, though these were not necessarily caused by the pandemic. As of April 6th, there were 8 vacant storefronts. And again, based on site visit data, there's a pretty healthy mix of businesses within downtown Maynard. Other services at 17%. That includes personal services like barbershops and nail salons, pet care, and the like. 15% professional, scientific, and technical services. So that includes your engineers, architects, graphic designers, and then you have restaurants and retail. So I went through those highlights very quickly. I didn't want to take up too much time tonight, but those findings will be included in that final plan. There will be a section dedicated to that. In this last slide, just a brief overview of the current phase that we're in, phase 2 project recommendations. We are currently coming up with that list of projects. They're in no way set in stone, and the state is providing access to subject matter experts to help us refine these project ideas. BSC also has some in-house expertise we're using for this. And so this right column, initial list of projects, very preliminary list of examples of what might be included in the final plan. It could be developing a public realm plan to prioritize targeted infrastructure improvements. It could be an access plan for the Assabet River, building the capacity of the cultural district, or creating a commercial tenant attraction and retention strategy, which includes marketing materials. So, very quick overview. With that, I will turn it over to the chair.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for the report. This is great. And I think you had kind of said that the survey was done, but you don't know the actual diving into the details. Like, for one example, about the regulations as being an obstacle, the parking, it stands out of all of them at 26%. And I'm wondering, what does that really mean? It says parking regulations. What does that really mean?
Right. So the survey results don't provide those details. That would require. I also don't know who responded, but would require talking to the respondents to figure that out. Unfortunately, the survey was anonymous, so that's not.
So we don't really know what that means.
Right.
Okay. And then my other question is, and I look forward to seeing the final report. Who is going to be providing you the list of the stakeholders so that you could do? Because you said one of your goals is to get. So who's going to provide that list for you? For the stakeholders.
Yep, so I'm working with the Office of Municipal Services. Right. So Megan and Bill Nemser on this project. That's my main contact, and they have been very helpful in connecting me with stakeholders. And we're still in the early part of phase 2, so more to come on that.
I had a quick question, Jeanette. As far as the surveys that were sent out, how did you identify the businesses that you surveyed? How did you decide to how did you target those businesses? Or is it any commercial property in town, or what was the criteria to send the survey to?
It was any business within downtown. So we worked with the Maynard Business Alliance, and I was out doing site visits, and I handed out flyers to have business owners complete surveys as well.
Great, thank you. And the other question I have is regarding the initial list of projects. I'm wondering, one of the things that comes up a lot with different people is, we obviously would love a vibrant downtown. And we're working hard to create that, and some people feel that we need a different mix, or we don't know what the right mix of businesses would be. And I'm wondering if that's ever something that anyone's thought of, is how to find out what the desire would be to make that a vibrant downtown.
That's a good question, and something that could be incorporated into one of the project recommendations is to complete a study that would help answer that.
Yeah, I think the one, and just to follow up on that, probably the best thing, since it's an overlay district, there's a lot of young professionals living now in downtown area. So it would be nice to get them some feedback from them of what kind of businesses they like, and maybe find out also which businesses they frequent, just to kind of get an idea. What is it that they look for, and do they, frequent businesses in downtown, so that just get a feel for that.
Anyone else? Questions for Jeanette? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. We look forward to seeing the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have a letter of recognition, and I think so I'd like to entertain the first motion, if possible.
I'll move to approve the proclamation for the anniversary of the ownership of Hawes Florist by Victor Tommel as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Greg, would you like to speak to this?
Well, sure. We had the letter, which you can see attached, from Melissa Tommel. That was provided on behalf of her father and her family, just asking for, recognition, as you've been saying, for Vic Tommel, who's been a longtime resident. We haven't seen him in a while, right? We haven't seen anybody in a while, but Vic in particular, I was the first couple of meetings. He introduced himself, and anyways, this is appropriate, and it's 60 years of ownership of the business down the way on Powder Mill. I mean, the business had been there, actually. I was interested to find that it didn't start there, but it's been on Powder Mill for a very, very, very long time. So I think this is a good recognition for a long-standing, active member of the community.
Were they planning also having some type of a ribbon cutting for the new renovation?
Oh, I
had heard some rumors about that. Is that?
No, not that I've heard, but I don't.
You didn't
Renovation?
Yeah, didn't they renovate the?
The exterior has been improved,
outside,
yeah,
right.
and the Economic Development Committee wrote a letter to congratulate them on how nice it looks, because it's really looking sharp over there.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. I had thought that I heard that they were gonna do some kind of ribbon cutting for, the renovation, but I guess not. Okay.
I hadn't heard
Guy in
that.
the back wants to.
Sorry.
Hi there.
On July 1st, they're having a celebration at 11 House
Oh,
Having
okay.
what?
They asked us to cover it, so they're having a celebration.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So that is, and
So
you guys
that's
are going to
kinda-
cover it?
Yes, we provide the PA,
So that's
Fantastic.
like a ribbon cutting, I guess.
so it's more of a celebration of the 60.
Oh, got you. Okay.
You said
Thank you.
So WABM, this is Market
Yes.
Nation for
Right.
the
Yes.
members.
Yes,
So-
we'll be there, yes. It starts, the speaking starts at 11 o'clock, but I think it's kind of an all-day open house.
Very nice.
Yeah, but this is important to the second motion potentially. What are you providing?
We're just going to record it and provide a little PA so people hear the announcement.
Yes.
Okay, noted. Okay, thank you.
You're giving him ideas.
Yes. No. So that's the reason why we
That removes
don't.
the need for the second motion.
Exactly. Exactly. So, no, that is perfect. We appreciate that. So, no, I think that, and,
That's 250 in the
so it is so July 1st, I think it's a Thursday. Are members going to be able to make it? Anyone going to be able to
I will
make
be
it?
out of town.
Okay.
I've been requested.
You have been
I've
requested.
been commanded to appear. Which is fine. I'll happily be there, so that's not
Yes.
a problem.
No,
But, yeah.
well deserved. All right. Anyone have any questions about the motion on the table? Further comments? All right. All in favor? Okay, perfect. And we'll just not do the second motion because we don't think that will be needed.
Well, wait, so,
Okay.
maybe
what?
not. So the equipment they're probably looking for is the whole shooting match, like we saw at the Memorial Day and Flag Day stuff with the podium, with the,
Right.
the podium that we put out there. I suspect, so Becky's nodding. So it's not just the PA system.
Okay,
So
but
is
we
the
don't
board-
typically do that for private businesses.
Correct.
So that's why
Is the
I,
board okay with giving town property for a private business?
right.
Go ahead.
No?
I mean, who wants it next? Like, and who, if you say yes to this, can you say no to somebody else without creating a problem down the road? And, I mean, so what happens if so we say yes to this, and we say yes to the equipment to a private event, and then at some other private event, we say no because we disagree with the event or the goals of the goals of the group or something like that. I mean, you can go and rent that in a microphone for $30-$40 for the day at Taylor Rental Center in Sudbury or anywhere else, and you don't need to get to town. You don't have to have Kyle bring it. You don't have to have somebody bring it back on a Saturday or whatever. With Thursday, you just don't have.
Yeah.
I just think it sets a bad precedent because then you can't say no to anybody.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff. No,
Go ahead.
seriously, go. As I keep interrupting
Just
you.
politely disagree. I think Vic's been such a unique presence in town, and the length and longevity of this particular event, I think, we can, for this one time, and it doesn't necessarily set a precedent. I don't see that kind of recognition come up frequently enough that it would be a huge problem. I see where you're coming from, but
There's nobody in town that respects Vic, likes Vic, or has a better relationship with Victor than me and except for his kids. Trust me on that. I get stacks of mail and phone calls at my house from Vic and everything else. I love the guy, but I just don't see where we should be in the business of providing microphones and podiums to people for private events, regardless of who it is.
So what I'm not sure of is when the request came in, whether, and obviously we just get the letter, right, so we don't know.
Oh, I saw too.
So, it could very well be that, his daughter didn't realize that that's not something that we typically do, or that's not the way that the ceremonies typically work with us. Because our recognition, if we really think about it, I can go back to the opening of the Theater Creamery, or the Azucar, or 110 Grill, or Aviva Trattoria. We were all there. We were all honored the buildings for opening or whatnot, but we didn't have additional
That was actually chamber
things.
some of
Those were chamber events. They were chamber events, but they still didn't have anything. They didn't have something like that. They might have had they would have had a microphone, which I'm wondering. So WAVM, I'm assuming if you're going to provide the PA, that means that there'll be a microphone to speak into. Yes. So I think that would be okay.
I'll find him a podium. I just don't want to give him that podium. I'll find him a podium. There's podiums at the golf.
Build him a podium.
There's podiums at the golf course. We have them at the golf course for the meetings we used to have there, the members' meetings. There's not a problem. I just don't think that we should be in the business of giving out town property to non-town events. And I understand it, in a sense, it's a town event, but like I say, the next person that feels as though they should duly honor themselves, and they're really honoring themselves, I mean, who do you say no to and when? And then it's a big can of worms for me, but I'm only one person, so if everybody else wants to send a podium.
I agree with you, Chris.
I'd send a podium, but I can do my best to find her a podium, and I'll send her an email and tell her that too. That's just, and she'll be fine, but we'll find her something. If someone has to stand behind something to speak, that's okay, but I just don't think that we should be sending that podium with the town logo and everything behind it to private events.
We don't do it for the Boy Scout events when they have the Eagle Scout Court of Honor, which the town sends a representative to. We don't do it for any number of things, and the town seal is for official town events, which, granted, we are approving this as a recognition, and I also have deep admiration and affection for Vic. It has nothing to do with Vic. It has to do with what we are representing when we bring that podium to an event.
I have a question. Do we have a podium absent the town seal?
Let's say that again.
Do we have a podium that does not include the town seal on it?
Becky, what do you think?
Schools do.
That's their stuff, so you can.
Listen, when you bring your microphone, can you put the podium in the trunk? Okay, I'll figure out how to get some sort of podium here between now and July 1st. But that podium is.
Well, if you want to, if you don't mind reaching out to Melissa,
I'll
you
reach
want to
out to
just
Melissa,
say,
yeah, and say, hey,
is it really necessary? Like, do you really need?
Yeah.
Or was it just a
I will
random
ask.
request of I pictured this?
I'll ask her. I'll ask her. We've chit-chatted a little bit since I got the first email commanding my presence, so. Demanding my presence, however it was.
Excellent.
But I'm happy to reach out and I, just.
Okay. Good, all right.
Odd sense of protectiveness over the thing.
All right, then
You haven't made a motion, so.
We did not make a motion regarding that one, no.
That's fine.
So we will just
All set.
continue that on.
Okay.
And I think that, I mean, obviously, we all want to make it clear that it has nothing to do with our feelings for Vic and whether he should be honored or et cetera. It's more the property, obviously. Oh, yeah, no. All right, number 15, bond application. What?
Did you all agree on the first motion?
I think we
I
passed
thought
that
we
one.
passed it.
Yeah, we did. I think
We can do it
voted.
again if you'd like. Okay. Then I tried to move on without, and then Greg wanted this to go back, so yeah, that's,
No,
yeah. That's all right, we're all good. All right, so bond application, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt and approve the votes as written related to the listed bonds, refunding of bonds, and any actions related thereto.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. And this is?
Yeah, so she doesn't want to come up, but
I know.
this is Jen Welch.
Hi, Jen.
Jen.
Nice to see you.
This is our treasure collector, as of a couple weeks ago, feels like, but no, it's been
A
I
little
don't know
bit
how many
longer.
months.
Almost 6 now.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Goes by fast.
We've been.
Really
We've
fast.
been.
I don't know.
Hiding from COVID, apparently.
Feels like yesterday. No. All
So
right.
Jen, can you explain,
Yes, so I passed on to Becky the stack that you guys need to sign. So normally you probably used to get like, you know, the pack with the little stickies and everything, but due to COVID, they just sent over one file and they just pulled all the sheets out and said sign, and then they're gonna put them all back together nicely. So it should go rather quickly. And then we'll get, of course, a copy of all the documents, you know, once it's reinserted in the document and everything. So I have all that. If you want any hard copies and, you know, copies of the official stuff when it's done. I do also have some electronic copies as well. So the good news is this bond, I think I forwarded everything over to you guys, is we anticipated getting the bond for 2.1, came in a little bit lower, 1.99 I think it was. It's not a huge difference, but it's better than anticipated. They were all emailing me, congratulations, and I'm like, what? It was that good. But I guess, you know, with this amount of money, you know, it's a big deal. So, and with the refinancing, you know, we're saving some money, so this is a good deal. Everything went pretty smoothly. Courier's coming tomorrow. But I hope everything should be super fast and easy for you guys to sign over.
Great. And I really, I have to say that I really like the added part of public comment that says that if we have the bond in front of us, we can vote to adopt as written and not have to read the entire thing. That is fantastic.
Honestly, that was I went, what? They're not reading all of that. So, so you have? Oh, I contacted bond counsel immediately because, you know, it's not my first bond, so, and everybody's different, right? So I asked them immediately, I was like, do I have to read every last? And they're like, nope, as long as you have it in front of you. But I mean, I brought extra hard copies in case anybody needs anything, but I think you guys already had everything in front of you.
Yeah.
So it was just a simple, short and sweet motion.
That is fantastic. All right. Anyone have any questions for Jen?
So Jen, what, I have a question. It goes, what part does your office play in our rating of AA3?
So, well, the treasurer collector's office, AA3 is the rating based on, you know, collections of real estate, you know, how good your collections are, how well you're handling your finances, you know, interest rates on bank accounts. If we had, I don't know, horrible collection rate, you know, percentage of our revenue, your bond rating would go down. If we weren't dispersing our funds appropriately and gaining interest, of course, right now that's really not a thing with COVID, but you know, they pay attention to your finances, basically. It's all your revenue, it's everything that's coming in, it's how you're handling all the revenue, at least on the treasurer collector's side.
How is that compared to other towns, you know?
It's the same. You mean as far as the
us
town?
compared to
Oh, how is
the rating.
How is the rating compared to other towns? It seems about average. We do have a little bit of work to do. We've discussed it, but it's a good rating. It's not a bad rating. I think it's a teaching tool. We talked about it with Greg. It's a teaching tool, and it kind of it tells us what we aim for. You know what I mean? What we can improve on. You know, and the different things. But it's pretty average. Not wonderful, but it's not bad at all. So it's pretty average for us.
How many years typically does it take to get a bump? Like if we show continued improvement to get a bump, because obviously the benefit of a better rating is we get lower interest rates when we.
Correct.
When we.
So truthfully, it depends on who's rating you. So there are different rating companies, and there's also different, for lack of a better term, like a person who actually sits through the rating with you and talks to you, you know, all about it. And you send them all the financials over ahead of time, and they have a ton of stuff to prepare ahead of time, and then they record everything you say. It was myself, the town accountant, Greg, and then a lot of input from Angie too as well, the assessor. And they just gather all that information and plug it into probably some secret formula that we might not probably know about, you know, to determine. And I think, you know, to answer your question, they were noticing an improvement for us just this past year. It didn't increase our rating, but they did note it, so that's a good first step because we weathered COVID really well.
Yeah, very well.
We're one of the municipalities that really did well with that. But, and I personally, and I know Greg, I was a little disappointed because I thought maybe that would have bumped us up a little bit, you know? But I think that they probably look at a couple years before they consider if, you know, that's stuck.
To your point, they want to leave room for improvement.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we approach it like a football coach, where we're never quite happy. Like, we could be ahead by 4 points and still be like, next time we'll do better. But we will do better next time. And one of the points that was in the report was about our approach to capital and not being so reliant on free cash, which has always been kind of an annoyance on my end. But we have a capital planning committee. Like, we're doing capital plans as you go now. Like, and they love to hear it. It wasn't quite enough to convince them. I think if a couple more years of like a solid pattern of this is how we're doing capital, as one example, that's the stuff they need to hear.
Okay. Well, thank you for the explanation.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I got out of this is that we came out of COVID not as bad as other towns, and that's a good thing.
That's the truth. Yeah, that's 100%. They seemed a little, I thought they seemed a little surprised, you know, because some towns didn't weather it well, you know, at all.
That's good.
Going back to the fire bonds, can you give me, speaking of secret formulas, what's driving these vastly different principal and interest rates for seemingly consecutive years on this table here? Just at a high level view.
You're looking at the graph that says what we pay for each and then the interest rate and such?
Yes.
So we refinanced the 2011 bonds. So we had to add that. I see the look of. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So this includes that as well?
Yes.
Got it. That's what I didn't understand.
I saw your mouth going,
yep.
oh, yeah.
All right. I'm with
yep.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Very good.
You're welcome.
Did we vote?
We have not voted yet. I was waiting for questions to end.
Oh, I wasn't sure.
Anyone have any other additional questions? All right. All in favor? All right.
Thanks again.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much,
everyone.
Jen.
It was finally nice to meet you all in
Yes.
person. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. You too. All right. COVID-19 state of emergency. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to lift the state of emergency in the town of Maynard, declared as of April 7th, 2020.
Second.
Thank you, Chris.
Third, fourth, and fifth.
I know. Everybody. Does anybody have any comments about this? Basically, we made the motion, we declared it on a town level, and so now that the state of emergency has expired, we're basically following suit, and we are rescinding ours.
I'm in.
All right. All in favor? Yay. All right.
Does that mean the water ban goes away?
I lost connection.
Wrong one.
Oh, Justin's still here, yes.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Okay, so next we have item 17, which is a remote participation policy. There's been a little bit of a revision, and Greg, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So in section 5, and it's just that, you know, this had been more than a year since we'd looked at it, and so it didn't realize, or it didn't occur to me to check if there had been updates, and there has been an update since the last time we saw it. Oh yeah, go Chris.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And the question is, this policy we adopted a year ago, 15.
No,
Did we not
talked about
adopt it
it.
15 months ago?
No.
We didn't.
We voted it down.
Okay, all right. I wasn't
week
sure.
before we went remote.
I wasn't sure if we did or we didn't, but, so we did, we didn't adopt it. Oh, okay, all right, okay.
Yep. And so, but just a couple weeks ago, you did.
Yeah.
And then I found out that that was a slightly older version, of course, because it had been a year. And so the CMR, which is the Commonwealth's,
Yep.
I don't remember what the AC or the R is regulation. I don't know what that stands for. I'm
Commonwealth
looking
of
at Megan.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts regulations?
That's probably it. So either way, the sort of the rules to execute the law, and in this case the open meeting law that allows, and what allows for remote participation by public bodies have changed a little, so that it doesn't require you to list the reasons that could be justifiable for an unreasonably difficult to attend So the CMR just says it's up to the chair.
Code of Massachusetts regulations.
Oh,
Just FYI.
all right, good. No, that's interesting. So then, so it's an addition, so my proposal is to adopt what the CMR recommends, as well as the town council, and I put that in the memo as well. Town council just says, the last bit, which says, that the chair cannot be, like, the decision by the chair cannot be appealable. Town council points out that that's not enforceable. Like, it's, it's the Attorney General's office that determines the judges, if you will, open meeting law. So it can't be just up to the chair. It can be appealable.
Can you say that again? What can't be appealed?
Oh, sorry.
The remote, so there's, it's remove, any determination by the person chairing the meeting to allow or not allow remote participation shall be final and not be appealable.
Oh, okay.
So they're saying that violates, because the Attorney General's.
For some reason, I've lost connection with the
Oh,
internet,
man.
so I
Okay.
can't-
So I'm recommending that you add this bit, and then you take off another bit. So add the bit that says it's up to the chair, really, without listing the specific reason why ahead of time.
Right.
But obviously, I think the chair would have to justify it if there was a question as to why someone isn't participating. And then,
I see.
because unreasonably difficult is kind of subjective.
Right, well,
Yeah.
that is
So
fine.
I
Go ahead.
wanted to note that there is legislation going through right now that could impact this significantly. And I know that there was concern from the public that we were putting this in place, that it was more restrictive than what we had been doing previously during the pandemic. But the reason for that is we have to be in person now because the state of emergency has been lifted.
Correct.
That is correct.
Exactly,
So
right.
this right now is allowing remote participation for specifically defined cases.
So it's allowing remote participation for board members.
For board
So
members,
it's not, it
correct.
doesn't mean the
Correct.
public, it's the,
That's
you
right.
know, right.
So-
But it is, without it, there would be no option even for that. So it is
Correct.
allowing for a further form of remote participation
Yes.
than exists
we've ever
without
had.
this. Well, it's with pandemic notwithstanding. And
Exactly.
so I think there was some concern that this document, due to its timing tonight with the state of emergency being lifted, was us saying that, no, you have to be in person, when really it's the state has been saying that.
Yes.
And there is current legislation working its way through the State House, and we simply have no idea what the result of that will be as of this time. So I just wanted to put that out there so that the public understands that we are doing this so that we are allowing at least some form of remote participation for board members in limited cases. But we don't have the authority as of right now to allow anything beyond this.
Exactly, and it's funny, I talked to Greg, he was at a meeting last week, talking to different members of the town organization.
Yeah, that's what Liz Russ said, talking about like the RHSO annual meeting, that was that.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And it was, and basically one of the things that came up was a lot of select board meetings are on Monday nights. So everybody scooted in last night. So we still had to have a plan for tonight because it is, we know that the state is looking, the state's looking at something, but we needed to move forward with this the way it is, so.
So after today, or after we adopt, if we adopt this policy, it goes away? There's no more Zoom?
No.
No.
All right, this is very confusing.
Yeah.
Lots of
Everyone's point.
So our next meeting
Okay.
in this room will be a hybrid?
13.
Yeah, yes. So, yes,
Okay.
hopefully.
Unless the state-
This all seems to be working well.
Okay.
Unless
the state-
says you don't have to, then it's up to the board. Unless the state says something like, you don't have a choice, you have to go remote, right? Which is what they did really at the beginning of the.
Right.
But, I don't think that's gonna be the case. It's probably gonna be at the discretion of the board. And then it'll be up to the board. So
Okay,
if-
okay.
If you guys wanna meet in person or not, and all the other boards. This is just saying that here in Maynard, if you want, a quorum of the body still has to be present. But if it's anyone else, so if like two of y'all if you feel like you're justifiably unreasonable, difficult to attend, then the chair gets to say, yeah, your name to that, and then you don't have to show up and you can do it on Zoom.
It'd be very similar to this. It just,
all right,
a
okay.
couple, one or
Yeah.
two members would be, kind of calling it. Yeah, but
Okay.
this is the hybrid that we've started to set up.
Yeah, I
So-
like this, and and
Okay.
the feedback we've gotten is that a lot of committees want, this is what we.
All right, thank you.
And I anticipate this is gonna be the norm going forward.
Yeah.
Right, I would anticipate we'll have a discussion item on this, hopefully by the time we have their next meeting,
Yeah.
when we see what the state legislation looks like. So, and I've gotten a number of comments from board members from various committees saying they really enjoy many aspects, especially parents and who are able to attend committee member meetings that they would not be able to otherwise. And so allowing remote participation in a more broad base than what the current state law allows is something that we should consider. So I just want to let the people watching know we don't have that authority as of today, and who
Right.
knows what we will have by next week. So whatever the state legislation comes up, I want to see this as an agenda topic whenever that
Yep.
point is.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right, you good now?
Yeah, I'm good now, yeah, I just didn't want to misunderstand it, that's
No,
all.
no,
Well, we-
totally.
But we don't know what the state legislation is.
We'll
Right,
be,
so it's-
we will be asked.
We will be asked.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
So, all right, so we do not have a motion on the table. I don't
Yeah,
believe.
we do.
Do
Oh,
we?
I'm sorry.
I think we did.
Oh, we did make it?
I
Okay.
think we motioned
Who
and
made the
seconded.
motion?
No one has made a
Yeah.
motion yet.
Oh,
We haven't-
okay.
That's what I said. I said we do not have a motion on the
And
table.
that was probably my fault in
There's
the
one written,
discussion.
but
That's what,
I-
yeah, no,
Right.
yes, thank you.
I'll move to approve the remote participation policy as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All right, anyone
We
have any
already had a
further?
discussion.
Roseanne, you had
Yeah.
further discussion? No? All right,
Good.
all right.
It's like the other way around.
All in favor?
Discussion first.
Thank you. All right. Which I have to tell you, that part of the vote goes much faster now.
Right.
You don't have to do a roll call.
Yeah,
So,
true.
anyways,
Oh,
all right.
Megan's report.
Now Megan's pictures.
Some nice pictures.
Wait a
some
second.
Great
Yeah, I
stuff.
don't think
Well,
it's
thank
mine.
you.
You took those pictures?
Yes.
The pictures are great. I love the pictures.
That first one is out, those lilies are outside of the library. It's like a great
Very
strip
nice.
right there.
All right.
I like the way you went into the ditches of the foundation of
What's that?
the ditches of the foundation of the fire station.
Okay,
Oh,
I did
the
not
fire-
take those pictures. Those are, that's not,
Didn't have the hard hat.
no, I do not have a hard head.
All right, Mr. Gregg.
All right, so,
Anything on your report?
Madam Chair, so for my town administrator's report, just a couple things to highlight. Of course, I encourage the public to go online, check out the town administrator's report that we put on. A couple things to point out, we are open. So, we have
Hey.
unlocked the front and back door. However, we locked a couple of the hallways to get into some of the offices, and of course, there's still the glass that's up in front of a lot of the offices in town hall specifically. And no, there is no requirement for an appointment, but we do encourage appointments. It's just good business to just check ahead that someone is available to help you in whatever you may need help to do. I saw a good amount of like people coming in and out of town hall all day. Not like huge crowds, but you know, people I think are
Checking it out.
excited to check it out. Yeah.
Excellent.
Town offices will be closed in observation of Juneteenth, which is a new state holiday that the town is observing. So the town offices will be closed this Friday.
Is the library open on Saturdays?
Yes, the library is open on Saturdays.
Will they be open on Juneteenth?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
all right.
I doubt it.
I was just curious.
And then we're also going to be closed, Town Hall will be closed again on July 5th, so that's following 4th of July. I will be collecting the recommendations from the various departments and input for the use of the American Rescue Plan Act funds, which I will then consolidate and then provide a recommendation to the Budget Subcommittee, or at least to show my recommendation to the Budget Subcommittee to get feedback before I submit it to you, the Select Board. Finance Committee last night was also, of course, interested in it, but I plan on, through the Budget Subcommittee, sort of informing them what the recommendations would be. You're about to ask a question, Jim?
Oh, perfect.
Oh, all right, very good. And then, I noticed, I liked speaking of the library, I liked in the library's report from Jean McGuire, the director, they're getting a new sign on Glendale. I mean, she's kind of been really doing a good job of looking over the facility and the property as a whole, and just identifying where we can sort of improve. That new fence she loves, and then I think a new sign. I think it's great to sort of take a look at those things and improve them. And the fire station is moving along. So that report is a couple weeks old. I didn't go by it this week yet, but I know the firefighters are, if you ask them, what it looks like day to day, they can tell you exactly how it looks like. It's just exciting.
But Tony out there with a chair and a whip.
Well, there was a construction meeting this morning, and the report I saw was that things are fine. I'm looking at Justin Marco now. Justin, what's your take on the fire station?
So they're moving with haste. They're tapping the water services, both fire and water service tomorrow. And we're still working through some final sewer recommendations and final acceptance, but for the most part, they laid the foundation for the elevator shaft.
Oh, good.
And they were laying the pillars for the foundation footings, so.
Excellent, thank you. Those are the big items I had, Madam Chair.
All right, sounds great.
Just an observation, the sign in front of the town hall needs an upgrade. It still shows.
Say town election.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's just,
Yeah, well,
It's
all right,
on
thank
me.
you.
Summer.
yeah, something like that.
Yep, sorry about that.
She's on it, she's on it. No,
Very
that's a
good.
good point.
All right, anyone else have anything for Greg? Okay. I don't have too much for tonight. I just want to thank the town staff for opening and for working through this. I know that there is no perfect way for this to happen, and I think that we are working hard to serve the residents and, again, be mindful of what we've all been through and try to come back together and continue with the business of the town. So I really appreciate how hard everybody has worked. I want to thank WAVM, Mark Manasian, and Emily St. John for their help tonight with this hybrid model that I think we'll be moving forward with, and it does encourage and enable more public participation, more public access, and we really appreciate the work that they have put into this to get this going for today. And I'm sure we'll tweak things as we move forward, but I dare say we had a successful meeting. So I want to say thank you very much.
That's great.
And let's see, David.
I have nothing to share this evening.
Nothing to share. Okay, no worries at all. Armand.
Well, first of all, congratulations on your first in-person.
I know.
First and last, almost.
Thank you.
A great year of leadership.
Yeah, that's right.
Considering the
Very much so.
circumstances.
Yes.
So we want to go out of order so she can use the gavel?
I know.
Just once.
My own.
Just try it. Right there.
That's a
Oh, we
good
have to do it
idea.
up
Just
here.
try it.
I would have
Yeah,
done it
just
wrong.
try it, yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. Yes, Armin, did you?
That was great. So I participated in the housing production plan. That's an ongoing thing. They're doing a second public forum coming up soon, and I think that
believe a
should
week from tomorrow.
Yes, correct. Very good. And then the other thing that I've been involved with, some of you already know, with the public arts program, we had 2 Zoom meetings so far and well attended. Some good ideas came out of that, and I think some of them are short-term type of projects that we call that long-hanging fruits. So hopefully things will start coming along where you can see something where it's going to enhance the downtown area a little bit, make it a little more, appealing. A lot of you, I'm sure, have heard that Maynard as a canvas came up with a new mural for the Naylor Court. There was 5 submissions, and 1 was unanimously voted on, and that should be going on.
Is it out? Have they shown it? Are they
I
gonna
haven't.
wait? Are they gonna wait till it's?
They're trying to
Are they
find-
gonna wait till it's done?
They're trying to find a way to show it to the public so they
Okay,
can see it,
okay.
yeah. So they're trying to find a way to do that.
Were you
but-
one of the judges?
Yeah. And then the other thing is, I was also part of the fire station building committee, but you guys already heard what's going on, and things are moving along, so it's exciting, it's great. And great pictures, those are nice pictures, very. That's all I have.
All right. Great. Thank you. Jeff.
Just one item I wanted to note and congratulate that the Maynard Farmers Market's coming back a week from Saturday, and so just one more sign that things are returning to normal. So looking forward to that.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good sign, isn't it? It happens.
Can't wait.
Summer.
All right, Mr. Chris.
Oh, yeah, just, congratulations to Marge Iannuso. I was sad I couldn't make it, but I had to go to my grandchild's baptism, but, on all her accomplishments and being honored, last Sunday by the town. And the other thing is a question for Mr. DeMarco, since he's here. Just,
He's not going to come to meetings
Could
again.
you briefly, do you have any knowledge of the issues on White's Pond? The algae or something?
Cyanobacteria.
Some bacterial issue? Is that?
That's.
The first question is that our White's Pond?
Concord.
All right, so it's a
Concord's.
different White's Pond,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Never mind, no question, I'm done.
Yeah, it's funny, because I used to have that same,
But I saw it and I'm thinking, White's Pond is
yeah,
over.
no.
Wait, is that my water supply then?
So Marie panicked this morning. I said, I have no correspondence, and then Deb looked it up.
I panicked too when I saw it, and then I said, I think that's a different White's Pond,
Yeah, it
because
is.
I have a cousin, kids fish there they live in Lexington. They live in
Oh,
Lexington, and they ride their bikes to fish.
It's a recreational facility.
They're
so that's why
not
they
riding
call
their
them
bikes
Valley.
out here to fish,
Yeah,
okay.
no, ours is off limits. It's
Great.
still our secondary emergency drinking supply.
Thank you.
Yes, no.
The Long Street that we paved is looking good.
Brooks.
Brooks, yeah.
Oh, I haven't been down there.
Yeah. I never noticed till I saw them working, how long that street really is.
Yes.
If you start at Summer and follow to the end, it's about the second or third longest street in town.
Right, and it actually goes
around the
left.
corner.
We
Yeah.
still didn't do that part of
Yep,
it. See,
yep.
so, but that was one of,
Yeah.
if not the worst.
It was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it was rough,
Terrible,
but
terrible.
thanks.
I'm
But
glad we
thanks for
found
the information on it not being our White's Pond.
not
And
us.
thank God it's not our White's Pond.
All right. Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in
But-
favor?
But seriously, congratulations on a great year of leadership in
Yes.
trying circumstances.
Very much so.
Thank you very much. I could
Really
not have done it
appreciate it.
without the great board that I have, so thank you.
Thanks, Emily, for all your patience with your mother.
Yeah, she's been doing that from home this whole time.
Yeah, this is weird. I usually just go upstairs.
I know.
I know.
Now I gotta buy it.
I had to figure out like how